to the pre-show of the Intrepid radio program. Thanks for joining me live here tonight. And it is Wednesday, and I just got to make sure we are all set up and ready to roll. Let's find out what's happening with this. I'm going to quit that, and I'm going to put that away, and I'm going to sneeze here in a second. I feel it coming. Let's see. I don't need to quit that. I need to put it away. There we go. There is that. I got to make sure we're coming on at the right time. This is going to be, yep, I got it set for 9:03. We go live. So that's about 2 minutes from now. So it's good to see y'all. Steve Clark, good to see you. Leslie Holker, good to see you. Glad that you're here tonight. Thank you for everything you do. And Uncle Dave is here. And Grumpy Stack. Yo, Grumpy Stack. And Matt Finn is here. Good to see you, brother. And glad that you made it. Nice to have you still here. And everybody else still here, that you still come in and like this show. Even though we're only doing 3 nights a week now instead of 5. At least we didn't turn it off completely. So, what do we got? A minute and a half left. And so, 3 nights a week is a little more manageable at the moment, with the 4th show being Robertson, with my friend Wendy over in England. And so we still do 4 shows a week, and then the Sunday morning show. So I'm glad you all stuck around and tag along. We're going to see if we can get Professor Bauer to do his show in my slot on Thursday nights. So we'll see what happens with that. And Russ, if you're out there listening, that's that. Let's see. Just have to see if I have done a couple of other things here to get things ready. Need to add that in. And boom, and done, and save that. And I think we're just about ready to roll. Now, I might need my glasses tonight. Went to the eye doctor today, and just my eyes are just wonky. I got astigmatism. I got a beautiful crystal clear in the morning and shitty at night. Here we go. I'm going to go dark.
The Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
And here we are. Welcome to the program, everybody. Happy Wednesday evening. It's our hump day for this show this week. The first week we've gone back to doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, not for any broadcast reasons, not for any problems with the show or ratings or anything like that, as they say on TV. It was a time factor. And so I needed to pull back a little bit. And so we're doing 3 nights a week with this show, the Intrepid radio. Maybe I take a breath once in a while. The Intrepid radio program right here on the Subspace radio network. I almost said Odyssey because I've been saying Odyssey for 4 years. So on the Subspace radio network, you can find us at subspace.radio. And that's where you can hear this show in its audio format only. And then you can come on over here to YouTube, to my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. And you can listen to the show and join the live video feed and the live chat room. Hey, Spirit Heart gods and goddesses. Cordia over in the chat room. She says, hey, Scotty, and all listening. I'm in the background listening. Much love and favor, she says to everybody. So it's good to have you here. Let's see. Leslie Holker says, I've had rotten eyes since I was 7. Astigmatism and all. Yeah, I got the astigmatism thing. And so today, get this. And by the way, if I haven't said it yet, you're listening to the Intrepid Radio program, and I'm your host, Scotty Roberts. Boom, got to wear my glasses tonight just because I got to today. You know, they did that dilating my pupils thing today, and they took the pictures. That's pretty standard stuff. I don't think that is any long-term hangover, but my eyes are only so very slightly more degraded than last time. It's just isn't that a thing though? You say my eyes have degraded, but only just very slightly. And my obstetrician or ophthalmologist, what do you call a guy that he's an eyeglass doctor? He said he's an older fellow, and I've been seeing him for years. And he said, you know, your eyes really haven't changed that much. He says, well, for you and your line of work, meaning illustration and design, he says, you know, it's critical. So your eyes have critically changed. He said, but to the average person, he says, it's nothing. It's like a hair. And my eyes are still healthy and all of that stuff and yada, yada. Remember I told you they said I got a cataract that's already forming in my right eye. And now I'm getting a little bit of it in the left eye. And he said, well, you could perform the surgery. He says, and have that taken care of. It'll clear your vision right up. He says, or he says, don't. He says, I'd prefer to not go with the surgery. I said, same here. To tell you the truth, I don't want surgery. So I probably won't do that until I'm really old and it really bothers me or something like that. If any of you have had cataracts or know of somebody in your family that have had them, he said, it's not like glaucoma or anything. He says, it's a very different thing. It just clouds your vision a little bit. So far, I don't have that. So, boom, I'm okay in the eye department. It's just, but he told me today, you know, your astigmatism. He says, you can get up in the morning and have crystal clear eyesight. And in an hour, you can be squinting and putting on your glasses. That's the way it is. There's some days, sometimes today I was looking at the screen and I'm going, I'm good. And now I've got to go, what time is it? And I got to squint. That's what all that was. That wasted radio time, that precious airtime talking about eyeballs and nothing else. So I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to everybody over in the chat room. I don't like to take showtime so much to say hi to everybody, but there's a few of you there, Leslie and Paige and Michelle Kenham Free. And who else we got? Barbie D. And we've got Steve Clark is here and Uncle Dave Potter. And I saw some other people in here too. Grumpy Stack is on. Grumpy Stack could do a show in my slot. He wants to do a health show. We need to talk him into it and get him going. Let's get going with that, Grumpy. And let's see. Matt Finn is here. Matt Finn, been here a long time. He's been the master and commander of this here chat room. And so I always appreciate having Master Finn here. And they still keep coming in. So if I miss you by saying hello, it's not an act of omission. It's an act of I just stopped saying hi to people. So at this point in the show. So thank you and welcome. I appreciate your presence here and appreciate what you do. If you are on my YouTube channel, you can hit the subscribe button and the little bell. And if you would like, you can hit the join button. We'll show you 3 ways you can join and become a member of this channel. And it's, is that asking for money? Not really. It's just saying if you want to donate $1 or $5 or $15 a month to this cause, to keep this show afloat, then you hit the join button. That's all. Otherwise, it's all free. And you're all welcome. So I appreciate your presence here. And let's see what else we got going on tonight. I wanted to get back into talking about the flood mythologies and so on from Sumeria, but I had a couple of other things here that I wanted to hit as well, and I'm wondering where I've got those because all of a sudden my mind's going blank. Like, well, what was that other thing I wanted to present? And now I don't see it. So, I know what it is. It's just a different article. It's my own article on the flood stuff. And this is an article I wrote a while back, and it hits on some of this stuff a little bit from an entertainment or a pop cultural point of view. how many movies have you seen on Noah and the Ark, or movies or cartoons or books or pop cultural media or even play school toys as a Noah and the Ark set? And, you know, they have had for decades. And so we have a concept of what the flood was all about. And we mentioned the other night on this topic, this idea of how pop culture and Hollywood has gotten in on the whole Noah and the Ark craze, especially since the last movie, which this article I wrote is about. It's a bit of a, not a critique, but an approach to the Russell Crowe movie, Noah, that came out a few years ago. I don't even remember what year that came out. I don't even have that in front of me. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. And about a year after the movie came out, I wrote an article and I put it in Intrepid magazine. And so it might have been longer ago than that, because I haven't been publishing Intrepid for a few years. So I wanted to present this article to you. And my title for this article that I wrote on Noah, a critique of the movie, was The Madness of the Divine. And somebody came bounding down the steps. I don't know if you all heard that. So Madness of the Divine. And I start by saying that there has been much ado over the movie Noah when it came out. Much ado about Russell Crowe and different people responding to the movie. And so I wanted to put in my 2 cents worth and see what you thought of this. It came out in 2014, says Sarah Yusuf. Thank you. So that's 8 years ago already when you think about that. But I wrote this article maybe a year and a half after that movie came out. And I said, as I often do with most of these big biblical pictures that I've waited with some interest and anticipation, I ignored most of what I'd heard about the movie from the critics who had offered up their punditry based on early screenings to test markets. And I went into the theater with an open mind. But before I get into the meat of all of this and my take on the film itself, I got to say a few things that need to be understood about big movies such as Noah, these big pop cultural attempts by Hollywood to do the Bible good, you know, and or to take a very negative approach to the Bible, but present these Bible stories in a new light. Sometimes they think they're doing that. And movies like Noah, or like, remember Christian Bale in the movie about Moses, Exodus, Gods and Kings. Fantastic movie, but horribly off historically. Anyway, but there's a few things that you need to understand about these big movies, such as Noah, that due to subject matter, create a hype and they create a controversy around the movie. And what I understood about this movie going in, without actually knowing a single thing about it other than what I had seen in the trailers, was the obvious. It was a major Hollywood motion picture created by the motion picture industry, who have at the core of anything they do and anything they fund a need to see revenue and profit. ROI, return on investment. Now, you might think, all these movie producers, they produce these movies because they love the topic. I think directors do. I think some producers do. But for the most part, movies get greenlit or thrown in the trash can based on what the projections of the financial sorts in all these studios will say about what they think will be the real revenue and the profit on the movie. And that's just a given. It's a business. They can't run making movies that aren't going to sell to anybody. So no matter how amazing the visuals might be, no matter the heart, the passion, or the bias thrown into the writing and the creation of a film, no matter who may love or hate it in the long run, the bottom line for the studio that finances the thing is the need to turn a profit. And that's not an innately evil thing in the very least. Think of your favorite movies. Somebody had to say, can we make money doing this? And said, yeah, we can. And if they didn't, they may have never made that movie. What does Matt Finn say? I'm sorry. I thought it was on the topic. They're chatting away in the chat room. He just said, your courage, your tenacity, your spirit, your approach to life, despite its dark moments, is an inspiration to all of us. Leslie. It's been a pleasure to share in our duties here. So, yeah, I appreciate Leslie being here too. So, and whatever that particular conversation is going on in the chat room, I can wholeheartedly agree with Matt Finn. And folks, if you're just listening audibly on the radio, you can also tune in and you can shut down the sound and the visual if you want and watch the chat room along with the audio. There it is. It's there. You can join, you can talk, etc. And the entertainment industry exists and proliferates based on what people will continue to pay to consume. Just as any other company, corporation, sole proprietorship that exists out there, very little can happen without the potential to generate revenue and turn profit. So movie producers, studios, distribution companies continue to live, breathe, and exist on what they can produce and what they can sell. And they spend a great deal of time forecasting the success of any given project based on a number of factors. And many times they have to be very cautious of content, producing only what they know will draw an audience that will produce the revenue necessary to pay for the production and create profit on the back end. And the audience reaction at the box office, initially gauged by opening weekend, will determine whether any given property is going to stand on its own merit or skyrocket to blockbuster status, or perhaps even proliferate endless sequels, creating a franchise about a particular character, a particular story theme. Dave Potter says, I don't think either of you suck at what you do. Okay. Sorry, Dave. Once again, saw some in the chat room. I thought it was pertaining to the movie industry. But going on with this now, in the case of Noah, we know going in that there will probably never be a Noah 2 if they're abiding somewhat even fringely abiding by the biblical story. There was no Noah 2. It's not like, God's back and this time it's not water, it's meteors. And God's back and he's more fiery and impactful than ever. I mean, what do you do with Noah? The unwritten scripture, Noah and his fight with the aliens. There's Noah too. But Paramount was well aware that this movie, Noah, needed to stand on its own feet, pleasing audiences enough for them to recoup their investment and hopefully produce a nice revenue stream and profit. And so Noah was the sort of movie that couldn't be calculated to capitalize on its branding, its merchandising, as many big motion pictures do. They're honestly, I don't think they ever produced Russell Crowe Noah action figures. The toy Noah axes or the model with sound effects in them, chink, chink. There honestly won't be any of that. There weren't any movie arcs filled with animal figurines lining the shelves at Target or Walmart or comic book shops. This brand of movie, much like Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ, simply doesn't lend itself to that sort of ancillary marketing and branding. And so the appeal of Noah then had to be strong enough to allow the movie to stand on the dictates and the anticipation of the audience rather than marketing products. And let's not be too coy here. It needed to appease a certain religious mindset while drawing the attention of those who are uninterested in bearded bathrobe and bedsheet biblical offerings. And so the days of Charlton Heston and Yul Brynner and the gloriously technicolored, storybooked epic versions of biblical tales are pretty much long gone, and frankly lost on a more sophisticated, show me the grit and dirtiness mindset of current day audiences. Noah had to reach beyond the gloss of legend and the fairy tale-izing of biblical stories, incorporate the obvious spiritual mystique and the power of God, while telling a story of real people in enormously fantastical settings. All the while, the penny counters back at the studio are nervously calculating the public's reaction to the film and whether or not the appeal will be great enough to pull in more than the religious curious crowd for one showing on an opening weekend only. And so what I found interesting in people's reactions to the film was that it was like watching a great divide in mindset. People either loved this film or they absolutely loathed it, hated it. And much of the dislike came from the religious sources who panned the movie based on what they felt was the tampering with the biblical tale. And I have to give this some credence. I do the same thing. I watched Exodus Gods and Kings about Moses and the Exodus that came out a few years ago. Loved the movie. Hated certain aspects of it. The history in the movie absolutely reeked, sucked horribly. There were actors portraying the Pharaoh, Sigourney Weaver playing the pharaonic queen. I thought we had gotten beyond the days where we're using all pale white Caucasian northerners to play roles like Egyptians and Israelites and things like this. But that's what they had. It didn't work for me on that level. And on a historical level, even worse. But I still enjoyed the movie. Now, the same with Noah. I have to give it credence. It's a religiously cherished story. And Noah and the Ark, it's going to approach any big Hollywood production and with anticipation that the film is going to uphold their faith predilections, the attendees of the movie, the viewers of the movie. And they're going to view the view of what they have been taught God is supposed to be, and the story was supposed to be, and the flood was supposed to be, and so on. And make no bones about it, Noah was judged and prejudged on this basis, the movie Noah. And even such conservative luminaries as Glenn Beck, who I like, and I listen to him, originally slammed the film based on other people's critiques, having admittedly never seen the film prior to uttering an opinion. Much to Beck's credit, he apologized openly for jumping on this religious bandwagon and took up the studio's offer to come see the film himself. He still didn't like it, he said. But I found his critique of the film to be based less on the story as a whole and more on the fact that it didn't perfectly align with the evangelical Christian story of the great Old Testament patriarch in a zoological boat. And this seemed to me to represent a mindset that wanted only one version of the tale told. And that would be the version that aligns perfectly with their point of view and their religious teachings. Ignore the fact that real humans in such off the normal scale of circumstances would be a tale set in the ordeal of trauma, tragedy, survival, and recovery, with the characters struggling to assert themselves as more than mere pawns in an enigmatic game. And you've got to admit, it doesn't get much more enigmatic than an invisible, almighty deity casting all of his creation into chaos and holocaust, all while creating a mulligan for only a handful of his sinful humans in the form of a protective ark. Now, you look at that story and you say, there's a big story there. You look at the story of Noah and the ark, and maybe these were the righteous people that got on board that ark. Noah was said to have been the only righteous man left. That's why God chose him. But did they walk around with halos behind their heads? Were they, oh, I know all of creation is dying today, but praise God. I mean, there might have been some of that to an extent, but do you think these people didn't have a healthy fear and a healthy anxiety over what was going on? And remember, Noah in the Bible account says it took him 120 years to build the ark. So by the time from the time he started sawing out the first planks of wood to the day they finally pulled the door shut, that thing was already an antique, most of it. But what these sorts of religious critics generally found about this movie, incorporated and invested in the religious right movement, did not seem to acknowledge or quite possibly completely overlook due to the ignorance birthed from a singular religious point of view. I'm not talking spirituality, I'm talking a religious point of view, is that the movie Noah was based not only on the story as found in the book of Genesis, but also on other ancient biblical accounts as sourced in the books of Enoch and Jasher, two Old Testament books that had been eliminated from the biblical canon of scriptures under the councils convoked by Roman Emperor Constantine in the mid-4th century AD. And just in case you're not up on your history, Constantine was a thoroughly pagan emperor who utilized Christianity to coalesce his empire. And when he launched the Council of Nicaea, among several others, gathering Catholic bishops together to determine matters of church polity, governance, and scriptural veracity, the mandate was not go seek the truth. The mandate was to establish unanimity. The bottom line for Constantine had nothing to do with truth. It was all about quelling dissent and having a unified church. And the books eventually ejected from the canon of Scripture were done so on the basis that the council could not come to a unanimous agreement as to whether or not it was truly God-breathed. And some of the books were regarded with such a difference of opinion by the members of the council that they were simply set aside and placed in a grouping of writings known as the Apocrypha. And there they sat while others tossed them out completely. You go pick up a Catholic Bible today, the Apocrypha is in that book as the apocryphal books. And so things like the mention of the Watchers in the movie Noah was something scoffed at by many reviewers, when in fact the Watchers, while not mentioned by the same name in Genesis, were spoken of to great extent in the books of Enoch and Jasher, two books removed from the canonical scriptures. Yet even the book of Genesis mentions the Watchers by another name, the sons of God, which you've heard me talk about many times, the B'nai Ha-Elohim, the sons of God, and in the Hebrew, and those of the Elohim. And when you begin an arduous research into comparative scriptures in the Old Testament, you find reference to the Elohim as corresponding not to angels, but to Enoch's watchers, the same beings, different labels. And as a side note, the book of Enoch was widely quoted by Old Testament writers, and even by Jesus himself in the Gospels. And yet Constantine's council still found it unsuitable for Scripture and lost its place in the I've got it written down, Q-U-E-U-E. That's Q. Written down, they lost its place in the queue for inclusion in what has become our present Old Testament. So to me, that's pretty amazing stuff. Matt Finn says, my only criticism of the Watcher is them being elementals represented as rock giants. Well, there's something to that, Matt Finn. I'll bring it up in just a little bit here. Those rock giants weren't too far off from certain interpretations of the Watchers and what happened to them. Here, we'll get to that in a minute here. It might be right here. I'm reading my own article and commenting on the side. As for the Watchers being represented in the movie as stone creatures, within whom the spirits of the Watchers had been condemned and confined, it was a visual representation of, again, a seemingly little-known account from the book of Enoch. The account of the Watchers in Enoch tells the reader that the leader of the Watchers, Shemyaza, as a result of his intermingling with humans and giving away forbidden knowledge of the gods, was buried in rock in the desert. encased in rock for a time until God eventually would free them. And the ancient stories of the scapegoat can be sourced in the annual ritual played out by the ancient followers of pre-Hebraic religion, in which they would send a goat out into the desert as an offering to appease the fallen god, quote unquote, encased in the rocks. And the depiction of the stone creatures in the movie, even for me, it was a little too Hollywood CG for me, for my liking, in that kind of a movie. It made it look like, well, maybe they are trying to sell toys because they got to have a rock creature that glows and things like that. I thought it was a little too Hollywoody for me, but it made the point and added to the fantasy aspects of the film and was, in a very small sense, honest to the nature of Enoch's writings, despite their absence in the book of Genesis. So many evangelical Christians have absolutely no idea that these texts even exist, let alone that these beings, and they base their understanding of the story of Noah and the antediluvian, the pre-flood world, solely in the Genesis account. So I think that the rock monsters, a little too fantastical, a little too, what's the word I'm looking for, commercial in the movie, sensationalized, but there is grounds for their existence, which is very interesting. Sarah Yusuf says, rock encasement comes across several times in the Bible and in the Quran as well. So there you go. So it's there. Matt Finn says the scapegoat, also known as the seer or the satyr in Greek mythology, translated devils in the King James Version. Yeah. So, and the scapegoat was what was kind of pre-Hebrew, pre-Hebraic culture in Palestine. And they would send offerings of the goat out to the satanic type creatures that were dwelled in the rocks and were encased in the rocks. So it's very interesting. So, and what the movie did, it showed that God releases these watchers from their rock encasement. So they no longer became rock creatures. The entities themselves, the watchers, came out of the rock creatures. And the rocks returned again to rock. So, Romeldian says, sounds like Prometheus giving men knowledge when men isn't ready for that. Mankind wasn't ready for that level of knowledge. Yeah, there's that. You had the watchers. Why were they condemned by God in the book of Enoch? Because they gave the forbidden knowledge of the gods to the humans. What happened in the Genesis story with the serpent in the garden tempting Eve? And it was 1,000 years later before they attributed that serpent to a Satan or the devil or Lucifer or anything like that. 1,000 years went by before that happened. But Nakash, as we've seen in the Hebrew language, is the serpent in the garden. Nakash. And the interesting thing about that was that Nakash, what did he do in the garden with Eve? If you get through all the decoding the scripture in there, he was presenting the forbidden knowledge of the gods. What was the eating of the fruit of the tree in the garden? It said, what happened after they ate of it? What does it say? And Elohim, God, said to the rest of the Elohim, the humans have eaten of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and have become just like us. Just like gods. Let us therefore go down and prevent them from also eating of the tree of life, lest they become just like us. And so it's very interesting. And I had always asked the question, what did God have against his creation having knowledge? That particular knowledge. And why was what became eventually the symbol of Satan in the garden condemned for giving them forbidden knowledge. Wasn't this the same story with Enki and Elil in with the Anunnaki gods 1500 years earlier in the Sumerian culture? What did Enki do? He gave the forbidden knowledge of the gods to the human king Atrahasis and helped deliver his people from bondage to the Anunnaki gods. So it's very interesting stuff. It's worth a book all on its own. So I also heard in advance of the movie Noah that it depicts its main character as an ancient animal rights activist and a green earther of his day. And this would certainly be a stretch of imagination, but not inconsistent with the type of character they were attempting to portray in the movie. Noah in the movie is a man who respects what's around him. He's respected God's creation. He's shown as a man who believes that nature is to be revered and that this is an element of humanity that had been lost. He was a man stirred to action by a dream encounter with the Creator who chose him. He supposed because he kept pure to the laws of nature. It's a dramatic vehicle is what it is in this movie. But while we're on the topic of purity, let's address the understanding of what the Genesis account meant when it calls Noah a righteous man, pure in all his generations. We have hit on this show before, but let's do it again now just for fun and shits and giggles. What did that mean? Noah. God called him a righteous man who was pure in all his generations. This has been grossly misinterpreted in English to mean that Noah was a good, righteous, God-fearing man. And in fact, the Hebrew language of the book of Genesis, righteous meant pure-blooded. In this context, when you examine the linguistics of the Genesis text, it clearly states that Noah was a man who was pure-blooded in all his generations, meaning that his family line was of pure human blood, as opposed to what? The mixed blood of the rest of the population of the known world at the time, according to the Genesis account. Mixed blood of the Watchers, the Nephilim. Now, remember when I stated earlier in this article that the Watchers intermingled with humans? Well, even that's found in the Genesis account when it speaks of the sons of God, the B'nai Ha-Elohim, as descending to the earth, choosing human women and breeding with them, proliferating a race of mixed human Watcher offspring. We've talked about this so many times on this show in different contexts that I could say I'm doing it again ad infinitum. But it's for the sake of this story. What you find when you cross-reference the Genesis account with Enoch and Jasher is that the earth was wicked and impure, filled with humans of mixed blood, except for Noah and his family, the only pure-blooded humans left, tracing their ancestry and their generations all the way back to Adam, the first man. And by the way, this is the same article that I wrote that had me criticized by people that just out there criticizing almost anything I did, groups and anything Scott Walter did, anything John Ward and I did, and they had their whole list of people. Anybody, it seemed, that was making money on a book or a movie or a documentary or TV series was targeted by them. And they said that this was me being racist because I was talking about pure-blooded humans as opposed to the non-pure-blooded humans. And I did ask the guy who authored the article, I said, did you actually read the article? You know we're talking about human blood mixed with celestial beings, right? And that the ones that weren't mixed with the celestial beings were the pure-blooded. You know that's what we're talking about here, right? Celestial versus human, not black versus white or one race over another race. So Yes, Matt Finn, genetic corruption of God's ultimate creation. Exactly. Sarah Yusuf says the Watcher offspring were destructive as their angelic fathers defied God. Yeah. This goes on. The reason I found it necessary in a film review such as this one to address these matters of biblical research is to establish that a lot of the criticism of the movie is coming from pointedly religious circles, and it's plain and simply ignorant to the information contained in the stories. No matter if you view the entire tale as truth, legend, partially myth, the story of Noah and the ark is much more far-reaching than the Genesis account alone. So, and by the way, I address all this stuff in The Rise and Fall of the Nephilim, my first book with New Page Books. So having an understanding of human nature as well as a comprehension of how things were recorded in ancient times in context, this is going to give one a completely different focus on the movie Noah and a clearer understanding of some of its seemingly fantastical elements. For certain denominationally minded critics, to see the film as a complete derivation from the biblical story is indicative of a mindset that wishes to see only what they know and understand of the story. And that's all they want to see promulgated, their version of the story. So there's so much that we do not know, so much of what we chose to believe or choose to believe, that we base our opinions solely on only one version of the ancient story, which has several other versions that come from different religious cultures, such as the ancient Sumerians, their Epic of Gilgamesh, which we talked about the Monday night. Those would be incredible films all on their own. But then people with the religious right would hate them again because they're following a Sumerian version of the tale of the Great Flood, as opposed to the Hebrew version. Just looking at some of the chat over here. Just got the book, The Complete Books of Enoch, said Kendall. It's fun reading, Kendall. Let's see. Matt Finn says Cain gave up on his reserves and didn't have faith that God would provide more, and therefore kept his finest crop, he says to Remeldian. I thought it was he brought forth the first fruits of his crop. This is what he did for a living. God demanded a sheep and blood, while Abel did this because he was a shepherd. Cain, who was a husbandman, brought what I understood the passage to say, the best of his first fruits, is a tenth of that as his offering to God. Now, maybe it wasn't enough. Maybe it wasn't the best stuff. I don't know. But he gave his offering and God rejected his. Leslie says the religious right is not better than the anti-American leftists. I agree. You look at what's happening in Iran right now with the protests. I looked at that and I said to Rainey this morning as I was watching some of that on some news clips that were running by us. I said, this is what you get when you get religious theocracy in a country. You get people are now rebelling because they've had this theocracy for almost 40 years over there, and since the death of the Shah of Iran. And you saw the Muslim Brotherhood take over and so on. And this is happening over there because people are starting to reject. You think of how young people are in our country, the younger generation, our Gen Zers. Put that in an Iranian context. When they have some exposure to knowing what's going on out in the world out there, and they're rebelling against their theocratic government, in a nutshell. That's not the entirety of the problem, is what I mean by that. But you see a rebellion against a religious theocracy. Do you know if we allowed the religious right to have a foothold and create their version of a theocracy in this country, I don't think you would have a very good thing going on. And that's why I would resist it. I resist the religious right from that respect. Not that I disagree with everything they say. Some things they say I find value in, but I don't think those are things we should run our government by. And when you start letting one mindset of a religious faith run the government or become the government, you have a theocracy. When you have a theocracy, you will eventually see what you see taking place in Iran right now. There's always conflict when people can't decide between what is literal and what is allegorical, says Sarah Youssef. Religion is responsible for more death and suffering than anything else in the world, says Leslie Holker. Right. Think of all the reasons in the history of mankind that wars have been shed. It would have been the main progenitors of those wars and those deaths and those things. It's either the face of a woman, Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships, or somebody insulted somebody's brother and we got to take down the whole country because of it. This is more ancient times. You get the point. So is Noah a good movie to see? Is it worth your $10 and 3 hours of time? In short, yes, I would say yes. It's a good movie to watch. And of course, you don't have to spend $10 on it now. Now you can just rent it or call it up on Netflix or whatever. It's an excellent film. It's got splendid actors, amazing visual effects. The ark itself is one of the most anticipated characters in the film. And it was based on the biblical descriptions and dimensions sourced in Genesis. Unlike any motion picture predecessor before it, gone is this fairy tale version of Noah's big, shiny boat with the curved prow and the glorious maritime features. Enter stage right is a depiction of the ark that actually looks like something built of shittim wood and smeared with tree tar. The grittiness is a welcome advent to the Noah story, I think. So is God mentioned in the film? That was one of the critics. God's never even mentioned in the film. Well, absolutely, yes, he is. Well, there's only one time the word God is actually uttered, and that's by Ham, Noah's son, who says, "The Creator is God," he said in the film. The film repeatedly refers to God as the Creator. And we all know they aren't referring to anyone other than God. Whichever may you want to mince this to be a watered-down reference, as the ancients didn't use the same vernacular that we're used to uttering in our more modern liturgies. Even Solomon in the Old Testament, his book of Ecclesiastes, refers to God as the Creator. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, he says. So the urgent argument that God, the argument, I said urgent by accident. So the argument that God is not mentioned in the movie is as feeble as much of the other religiously based criticism of the film, I think. Did Noah in the movie run around wielding an axe with the intent of murdering his family? Absolutely not. And that was one of the critiques I saw. He's not depicted as a sorry, boy, that snuck up out of nowhere like they always do. There, that sneeze was for free. No, Noah did not run around with an axe intent on murdering his family. He's not depicted as a psychopath by any stretch of the imagination. The film does, however, depict Noah as a man who was greatly psychologically impacted by his brush with the divine, and how he struggled in his attempt to interpret what it was he was supposed to be doing. After all, he's told to build a huge barge to save all the animals, followed by a major geologic catastrophe in which he saw all of humanity destroyed. Noah's story is punctuated by the saving of animals, which the scripture even clearly states was not his doing at all. Saving of the animals? Noah didn't do that. All he did was build the vehicle for them. As the Bible account says, God brought the animals to the ark. You didn't have, like in some old movies I saw, Noah out there with a lasso trying to lasso ostriches and pigs and alligators, and that didn't happen, at least according to the biblical account. It says that God brought the animals to the ark. And this is clearly depicted in the film as being a huge supernatural event. They get out of the way and they go, here they come. God brought all the animals. You see the stampeding up into the ark. Now, Noah, I'm sure, suffered the madness of encounter with God. That's why I called this article The Madness of the Divine. And that seems to be the indicative of the prophetic types down through the ages. He suffered the madness of encounter with the divine. If he indeed experienced divine epiphany, and like most biblical patriarchs was simply left alone to pick up the pieces afterward, you can be sure that the human being could certainly become conflicted over what he was supposed to do next. So remember, after the whole event was over, do you remember this part of the story? The Bible account tells us that Noah planted a vineyard. When it grew out and grew grapes, he made wine, and he got drunk off his ass. That's what Noah did. Perhaps the coping mechanism of a mind that got a glimpse of the divine, yet was left to live the rest of his life in the mundane world, waiting to see if it ever happens again, can drive one to an apparent madness of sorts. In the movie, Noah felt that he was divinely ordered to bring about the end of the proliferation of mankind. This is the movie interpretation. And that he interpreted his mandate as being the one responsible to kill off all of humanity. That's what they depicted in the movie. He interpreted, God said, I'm going to kill all of man. I'm saving you, the righteous guy, and your family, so you can finish them off and then kill yourself. That's kind of the way they interpreted it. His understanding. He was corrected in this, of course, in the movie, but they showed him doing this. He interpreted his mandate as being the one that was responsible to kill off all of humanity, including his own family, after the floodwaters had subsided and the earth was cleansed. He never chased down his family with an axe, like in Stanley Kubrick's why did I just go blank on the name of the film? The Shining. But there were times in this interpretation of the story in which he believed, Noah, that the end was all mankind was what God wanted as an eventuality, even extending to the earth of his own family, whom he extending to the end of his own family, whom he interpreted as being chosen solely for the purpose of saving the animals. Man was, as interpreted by Noah in the film, were the blight that God was eradicating. So when you see the film, you have to determine for yourself the kind of man Noah is being shown to be and how you may have interpreted what it was you were called to do. And it's a very interesting take on the psyche of a mind touched for a moment by the madness of the divine. I'm going to give you a spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie. Spoiler alert! In the end, there's a rainbow, and it all works out well. We've been so immunized from the reality of the lives of biblical patriarchs, whether the miraculous events attached to them are true or not true, that we forget that they were human beings too, whose only unique quality was that they simply experienced the divine on a very different level. And even then, that encounter was usually at mere glimpses, moments, visions, and dreams, leaving the man or the woman to wrestle for the rest of their lives with what they believed they encountered. One of my personal complaints with Christianity is that we have turned ancient stories and legends into biblical fairy tales, storybookizing the miraculous and idolizing the people who encountered it. And for many, the story of Noah and the ark is a true account, bolstered by their faith. For others, it's a legend and myth made spectacular only in the realm of faith and the cultural history of religious tradition. And so the film, while divergent in its interpretation and presentation of the ancient religious story, might fall outside the realm of what we may have been taught in certain circles. Yet it's inclusive of more information than we've ever been exposed to in our limited religious classrooms. It delves into the psychology of how this man and his family must have felt as the rest of humanity perished on the other side of the wooden hull. There's a scene in the movie where Noah and his wife are sitting together in the dark inside the ark, which is rocking in the waves and the rain, and the floodwaters are raging, and there are sounds of people screaming and crying outside. Noah gently tells her that soon the cries will end, and to simply do her best not to listen. This is an aspect of the biblical tale that we never really read, nor have never been taught or shown to us. They were praying and rejoicing. What was it like for these people to experience what they were going through? Praying and rejoicing, or were they completely distraught, knowing that they were sole survivors of a devastation that wiped out everything and every single person they ever knew from the face of the earth? The movie reminds us that there's something much, much bigger at play, running the affairs of mankind and the universe. The obedience of Noah to the Creator in this movie, the salvific nature of the ark story, are all intact. Whether it's based on factual accounts, a legend, or mere religious myth based on disastrous geological events, etiology, to help common folk understand what they had seen and experienced, it presents a real story of real people placed in enormously fantastical events. What's truly gratuitous, in my estimation, is how the Sunday school interpretations of wrathful Old Testament stories attempt to lull us into thinking that they make perfect sense. My recommendation is that you take the time, see the movie, enjoy it for its entertainment value, then go look up the story for yourself and read it. But enter the theater knowing that the movie is intense, it's traumatic, it's emotionally engrossing. Don't marry yourself to the Genesis account, however. Not alone, anyway. For the story of Noah and the ark is much bigger and farther reaching than the mere chapters given it in the Old Testament book that's come down to us in our modern day Bibles. So as with everything, don't let someone else tell you what you need to think or what you need to believe, but find it out for yourself. Take in the information, process it with the brain given you by the Creator. And then I think you'll be able to find something that is meaningful in these stories. Did the story really happen? I believe it did. The biblical account, I trust the biblical account. Is the biblical account exhaustive? No, it's not. And it looks like we're out of time. We ran out on the radio station. This said, it is 9:58. I lose track of time when I'm talking. So the radio audience is already gone. Sorry about that, radio audience. I've done that a couple of nights. I'm looking, the timer is over here. The clock is over here. And I was looking at it. It was approaching 55 minutes long is the show on air on the radio station. And I'm at my clock and I'm going, it's not 55 minutes yet. And then I'm talking on top of it. So one of these days I'll get it right. So I think it may have gone off right when we were ending the meat of the story anyway. So just because we can do it let's get out of here. For the radio audience who might have tuned in now, and we'll just say goodnight with the show. Live long and prosper. We'll be right back with the Captain's Cabin.
Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid Radio Program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
All right, well, welcome to the Captain's Cabin, y'all. Guess what this old fart needs to do? I need to take, as Kenny Ballos would say on Morning Coffee with Kenny, every morning at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Eastern. Hold on. 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. That's what I was trying to say. What he says every morning, he says, look, I got to go take a commercial break. Now, you know what a commercial break is in radio? That's where you look at your producer and go, commercial break, because you got to go take care of business. So I'm going to walk out of here for a minute, but I'll be right back. So for those of you who are here, let's see, do we have something we can play on here that's not going to get me demonetized or something? I can go through the here. I'll just give you the opener for Rainey's in my show. It's Sunday, and I'll be gone longer than that plays, but here you go. I'll be back in a minute. Don't go away. Okay, I'm back. Whoo! You know the one thing about this house? There's no bathroom in the downstairs area where we are. So the studio, the master bedroom, the big family room, and Rainy's studio over there. There's no bathroom down here. So when you got to go, it takes 3 times as long. You got to go up the stairs to the bathroom, then you got to do your business, then you got to come back down the stairs. So there you go. And if Dave had been here already, I would have put him on already. So here's Uncle Dave.
Yeah, I just missed you. I was actually dialing it up as fast as I could, and by the time I got to the backstage part, you had just started the intro.
Well, I'll tell you what, I really had to go.
I figured. Trying to get there for you, baby.
I appreciate it. So, what does that say? Doesn't let you get away with no cardio. Yeah, that's right. So, well, the neat thing, something came up today that I can't say anything about, but Rainey might have an interesting opportunity coming up.
Oh, very cool.
We'll call it in the entertainment world and television world. That's all I can say about it. And that's all I know, because it might not happen at all. But being presented with that, she has to be in prime condition. And
the Real Housewives of Starving Artists?
No, yeah, that could be a one that would fit us, that's for sure. But no, it's something completely different. And it's a television show, probably released on a cable network. It's going to be, but a family show. So,
a family show. Well, that takes out a whole bunch of things that I was
saying. Yeah, that takes out a whole bunch of things people might be thinking. So, but she would have to be in prime condition for it. So, we are both going to start doing a good program for prime conditioning, getting back into that welterweight. And Rainey, it'll be real easy for her. She's put on a little bit of weight, but only because she's had 3
days. She looks great. She looks great.
Working mom, and you don't even have to beat me to that punch. Everybody knows I think that about Rainey. So I don't think so, Sarah Yusuf.
It's going to take you a huge amount of work.
I can't even.
Was that my outside voice?
Yes or no? What's that?
It's going to take you a huge amount of work. Oh, was that my outside voice?
Yeah. Take me a huge amount of work. Yeah. May I survive her training? But we don't know anything for certain.
Well, you could bring Grumpy up to be your personal trainer and get you going, and he could put 4 tires in the back of his car and bring them with me for my car.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. My eye was turning green, said Steve Clark. Yeah, I think more yellow, Steve. I was sitting here and I was doing the in-chair pee-pee dance toward the end of that show. I'm like, oh man, I gotta get out of here. I need a longer break. So I'd say yellow, not green. So anyway, New Year's resolution? I don't believe in New Year's resolutions, Sarah. Sorry. They're usually disingenuous and never last. You have to have a life decision. But, and so far, both Rainey and I know. We packed on a few extra pounds. We're out of shape. We got to get in better shape, and we keep saying it. And sometimes you need the catalyst. So I think this will be a good catalyst for her, for me both. And nothing an empty bottle won't fix. I've done that. As a matter of fact, when I was on Coast to Coast, one of those times, and I was out in the garage talking with George, and I didn't know how long the break was going to be. I had a jug there, man. I had a vinegar bottle jug, vinegar jug, and milk carton. There you go.
We could put you on a Celtic diet. You get either 1 piece of steak or lamb a day and 3 pints of Guinness, and you'll lose weight.
I'll lose weight. Yeah. Probably die eventually too.
Oh, no. The protein will keep you alive.
That protein, yeah. So, Hey, we got Castile, Pearson Castile calling in. Let's bring him in. Hey, Pearson, how you doing?
How you doing, sir?
Well, I'm doing a little better than I was earlier this week. I've been pretty sick, to be completely honest with you, but not too awful bad.
Well, that's good. Hey, Sarah Yusuf, by the way, said, never mind. Oh, she said, you guys are determined to gross me out today. Are we grossing you out by saying that we would eat venison and drink Guinness as a staple for our diet? I think that's kind of cool. Anyway, never mind the vitamins and minerals. Well, there's that.
You can take supplements.
Yeah.
They don't put weight on.
Yeah, there it is. So what's on your mind tonight, Pearson?
Oh, not a whole lot, to be honest with you. It's been pretty quiet. I don't remember if I gave you an update ever on whatever was going on in my room, but it's been pretty quiet for the past couple weeks.
Is that a good thing that it's quiet?
Definitely a relief. Actually, not much energies have been noticed by me for the past couple of weeks, which is all right with me, because I think like Sarah had said at night, a break from it was really something I needed. We left off last week, had a pretty interesting stay up in Omaha, Nebraska, and sadly that's where I caught my cold, or whatever the heck it is. The left wing media would love to say it's COVID, I'm sure, but I haven't been tested yet, so I'm not sure. But sorry about that. I've got politics on my mind. But see, it's been a pretty mild week this week. Just keeping afloat, mainly because it's got me pretty pretty sick. I had to have basically an infusion of some sort of medicine to help with bone density last week. So of course the doctors are saying that fever and a lot of bone pain is expected from it. So that was great. And then my younger brother, who's like 14, 15, came down with something at our hotel. Got sick right before we left. So all of us ended up having the flu or whatever this.
So you end up having a household full of sick people. You're not the first person I heard that from today. So
yeah, it's been and of course the temperature doesn't help either. It was 70 degrees Wednesday. I believe it would have been Thursday morning at about 6 o'clock in the morning. In Omaha, it was 70 degrees. 5 hours later, we were sitting at 28. So that was
that always helps precipitate illness in the family. Well, man, I wish you the best, and I hope everything goes well. And I appreciate your calling in, brother. Thanks a lot. You take care of yourself. All right, guys. Let's see. What else we got in here? Hey, field guy. I was going to say call in. You say everybody misunderstands you. Whatever I do or say either pisses off someone or just turns them off, whatever. Call in, brother. Let's hear you talk about that. Hey, Michelle Cannon-Free. By the way, yes, she said almost forgot to like. Hey, if you're here listening to the broadcast on the YouTube channel, hit the like button, the thumbs up button. That does us good. If you're going to be in here every night and listen to the show, come on over and hit the like button too. Don't forget to do that. That helps our algorithms, believe it or not, for as small as our numbers can be. So some nights for likes, you get 12 likes. That doesn't mean that's all the people watching. So let's get the likes going on. And help us with that. So if you can't buy a membership, give us a thumbs up. So What else we got going on? Sean Stroik is here. Field Guy is here. I haven't seen Field Guy calling in yet. Nothing changed. It's too bad we can't just call people on the show. Just call them up. We'll connect with you. And to go, hi, it's us. You're on radio now. What's going on? Never tried moose. We've got some moose upstairs. Well, we had some moose. I think you heard about the demise of our freezer a couple of days ago. If you follow me on social media, somebody in the house unplugged the freezer in the garage, the big box, the deep freeze. And they unplugged it and plugged something else in and unplugged that eventually, but the freezer never got plugged back in. And we lost that. And it had to happen a couple of weeks ago when it was still warm outside. Because right now, if you unplug the freezer, I think things would stay frozen out there. But we had the brown sludge in the bottom of the freezer from things melting off. We lost over 100 pounds of salmon, all spoiled. And this was the salmon. We had still about 20 or 30 pounds left over from last year when Rainey went up there and to Alaska. And we had about 80, 90 pounds from this year. So the freezer's fine. It survived. Rainey said, well, the upside is, she said, now I got room for new stuff. But we lost all that salmon. We lost not much, but about 10 pounds of beef, ground beef that was in there. And we lost, she stockpiled on some vegetables and had frozen them. She didn't can them. She froze them for cooking. And so all in all, I have no idea how much money was lost, but that was definitely a winter's worth of salmon and all gone down the drain. So, well, you just move forward. What do? You move onward and forward. Yeah, it is, Sarah. We have no idea who unplugged that freezer. It had been unplugged and it's plugged in behind the freezer, but it's up on the level on the wall that you can reach and get it. So somebody yanked the cord out of there and plug something else in or something. So there you go. So it's too bad. Pearson says he's been doing a lot of piano playing lately. Forgot to mention that. That's good. Sean Strike says, I didn't even want to glean it to figure out what was the freezer or else. Totally lost me there, Sean. I think I get what you're trying to get at, but no, Sarah Yusuf, I've never found my ring and I have never found my car keys that disappeared that day. Nowhere. So you can see I'm still ringless. So yeah, I'm missing. That ring went missing and my car keys went missing. And never again to be seen. And which is very odd. So that's still gone. Yeah, blame the Ouija board thing for unplugging our freezer. I can drive the car, but I got to use Rainey's keys for that car. So we've only got one vehicle right now. So we both work at home. So there hasn't been a big rush to get a second vehicle. And although we had a second vehicle. And you all remember Moby Dick when I talked about Moby Dick last winter? That was my car. Yeah, I miss Moby Dick. But yeah, we've got the Buick Rendezvous. So, but my set of keys disappeared along with my ring. Not at the same time. They weren't in the same place. I know that much. But the same day. Field Guy says she also unplugged the store phone for the same reason and broke the phone. What? Oh, your coworker. Oh, I missed the first post. Your coworker did that at work. She unplugged the refrigerator to charge her iPhone, and I went in the next morning. The whole floor was flooded. Wow! Just to plug in her phone. Tell her she needs to go out and buy, if she's still hired there. She needs to just go out and buy a portable charger. Oh my goodness. Sarah's here. Let me call her in. Hey, Sarah.
Hey guys.
Sarah.
How you doing?
All right. So how was your first Tuesday without the show?
I had nothing to do.
I know, it's like you were like, oh,
Well, you had nothing to do in the evening. You did an amazing show in the afternoon.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Wendy and I had a good show yesterday afternoon, but it was afternoon. It was 4:00. Went to 5:00. We talked for about another half an hour post show, and I was done for the night. It was kind of nice.
You actually went to bed on time.
Yeah,
Probably not.
Probably. I think I went to bed at 1:00 this morning. Yeah, I got this little thing. I thought this was very cool.
Oh yeah, Harry Potter thing.
Well, that was only a matter of time. It's a perfect tune for one of those.
For Thanksgiving.
That's pretty cool. One of those little, those little units in there. So it didn't have I saw the ad for it. And it was only like $8 or something. A couple of years ago, I bought this. It's been sitting in a box, and it had the perfect tune, from the movie. You play this though, it goes. It's flat in a couple of spots. Listen again.
Well, yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I hope you don't get kicked off of YouTube for copyright.
Oh yeah, they've just demonetized the show now. We're playing copyrighted music.
Not a sponsor.
I missed the Sarah show. I was at the doctor's. Did you have a show, Sarah?
No,
Oh,
I don't know what he's talking about.
Robertson.
Robertson was, I think.
Robertson.
That's in the afternoon, right?
Yeah, that was 4:00 in the afternoon Central, 5:00 Eastern.
Yeah, I was at work, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why don't you tune in from work? It's good for you. Sure, your coworkers would love it.
Oh yeah. We're right in the middle of busy season.
When did Sarah do her show? You're talking about Sarah Soderlund, by the way, Barbie D? Because I know she does shows all the time.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
Not you.
No.
Well, she spelled it S-A-R-A, which
Yeah.
is not how you spell your name. So
No.
that's how she spells hers. Must be Sarah Soderlund. Yeah,
So-
Barbara said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's on your mind, Sarah?
No, I'm not too much. Just trying to survive the end of the year. I mean, next
Yeah.
week is Thanksgiving, so everybody's kind of battening down the hatches and either closing up early or doing this and that. So I have to just make sure I have everything that I need for the next week. So
Right.
our office is actually closing Wednesday through Friday, so we get a couple extra days, I guess, post Thanksgiving prep and coma afterwards.
Sure.
Might as well have a long weekend.
My kids have all week off next week.
The whole week.
Like, we never got the whole week off for Thanksgiving. You went to school through Wednesday, and then you had Thursday and Friday off.
Right. But
So-
I don't think it'll affect the radio schedule, right? Next week is
No.
that Thursday. That's typically
Yeah, because I don't have a show on Thursday. So
Yeah.
how about that?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I have
yeah.
a show on Monday and Tuesday and Friday. So I'll have a Black Friday show.
It will be especially
Maybe I'll have a Black Friday sale.
for Intrepid merch.
For what?
Intrepid merch.
Yes. I don't have I can do things online, but I have books here too. Still have some books here. Rise and Fall of the Nephilim and Exodus Reality. I could maybe do something with those.
Yeah, make it a. It'll be an awesome.
I don't have
Christmas
many of
gift.
those left. I got maybe 10 of each. So.
Right. Stocking stuffer. Definitely a stocking.
Yeah, there it is. Stocking. So if you can fit the book in the sock, it works. So.
But have you decided on topics for next week, or are you planning to do something? Oh, I forgot who I was talking to. Never mind.
Sarah, you don't know me well enough to know by now.
Scotty Roberts, king of show prep. Ooh, I got a show in 10
Prepping
minutes.
topics weeks in advance.
Google search. What should I talk about?
Dave's seen me someday.
Well, I did have some ideas. I mean, I was, because I just saw.
She's offering to help.
Wow.
All right.
Wow. No, I had some ideas because of the there was the Charlie Brown special, and I saw this interesting YouTube video on tasting history. They were talking about Massasoit and Squanto. So I was thinking we could, kind of get into that and how the Native American contributions and what was going on during that time contributed to the first, what we call the first Thanksgiving, but essentially.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I did a couple of Thanksgiving shows, a few years. I would do a Thanksgiving show or the Halloween show or things like that, or the Christmas show and the Easter show.
And then, with Friday, being Paranormal Fridays, we could talk about Native American crypto, such as, the Wendigo, Skinwalkers, Ogopogo, all the Bigfoot types.
Those are all fantastic ideas.
I have those on occasion. I'm told.
Yes.
So, I bet you have them all the time.
Yeah.
That's my problem, is I have lots of ideas. I have more ideas than I have wherewithal to actually perform them.
Yeah, I'm getting to that point as well with me. It's like I don't have the energy to do everything that I want to do anymore.
Like, ask me how many books I have in my head to write, and ask me how many I'm actually writing.
Probably like 9.
And more. And then I counted them out to over a dozen. But
I've got that in about 20 films.
Yep, 20 films. Yep. And then you sit back sometimes and you ask yourself, am I ever going to make those? At least before I'm 80 years old and have to hire everybody to wheel me around so I can do it.
Well, either that or you delegate. So you say, okay, you delegate. Do this, you do that.
So Pearson's out of here. Good night, Pearson.
I do
Thanks
want
for coming on tonight.
Yeah, I do want to talk about
waving at Pearson.
Yeah, he's blind, Dave.
I know. I don't know what I'm thinking. Hey, can I?
Go ahead, Sarah.
No, I said I do want to talk about, as somebody who has completely uninitiated into like the Ren Fair type of lifestyle and situation and stuff, because I'm seeing like
you should go with Dave and I out to the Ren Fair. We'll put you in costume. Dave and I'll take you.
No, so I mean, like, so like for someone like me who is completely uninitiated, I will just have a crash course of Ren Fair 101. What to do, what to not to do. I mean, it's not like you can show up in t-shirts and a short. I don't know what they'll do to you. Once you get out there.
You can wear anything you want to a Ren Fest.
Yeah. Considered. I guess
I went out one year in a tweed jacket and my fedora and a long scarf. And,
I really wish you'd have worn pants that year.
Yeah, I know. If I'd worn pants, it would have been a complete outfit.
But I mean,
so go ahead, Sarah. I'm sorry.
Because there's
scarf wasn't as long as you thought it
was. And like stuff you have to do, like respect the king, or do certain things with rituals and stuff.
If you're a patron out there, they're not going to chastise you for that.
Yeah,
they don't expect you to.
Nothing.
If you're a character out there.
Yeah,
they do expect you to participate and play along. And we had a character a few years ago. He decided he was a newbie, and he decided he was going to be the Dauphin of France.
Oh, I remember him.
And he encountered our royal court, and he stood there and
hey, love you too, Chad Sanders.
One of the dukes or somebody pointed out, it's customary to bow before the king. I am the Dauphin of France. I bow before no man. And one of the guardsmen said, I can make ya. It was like not difficult here, buddy. If you're going to dress in costume, then participate.
Right.
He's the one that
fit into the role of what's being done out there. You know,
Yeah.
they would never hurt anybody bodily, but
No, I
they
wouldn't
expected
expect
you
that.
to play
but,
along if you were dressed up.
you know, it is still public.
he's the one that ruined a woo that I'd been working on for weeks, and I was really pissed off. And said something to him, and he slapped me across the face with a glove, and everyone
Oh,
yeah, everybody that worked out there just stopped what they were doing. It was during Terpsichore's show, their dance show.
yeah.
And I had is it Ken? Yeah, Ken taught me how to do the dance, because I don't dance. I don't do any of that stuff. And I had gone out to dance with this girl I had been wooing for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I got around her, I got dumbstruck. She just, anyway, I went up. We got about 3 steps into it. He came and intercepted her and took her off my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I about lost my cool and went up to him and said, "Sir, I's dancing with this one." And he said, "Oh, you're a ruffian," or something, and slapped me across the face with his glove, and everything stopped. and everyone, there was the ooh
Right.
from everybody. And I said, "Oh, do you want to dance?" And I picked up his glove and slapped him both directions across his face, and then dropped it at his feet. He had a really pretty glove. It was like a doe skin. This is the costumer in me. Trimmed in white fur. And when I dropped it, it fell in some little girl's strawberry ice cream thing, got strawberry juice all over it. Probably ruined it forever.
Oh.
And I said, "I choose small sword. Name the place." And he was like, "What?" And one of the other gentlemen there says, "You slapped him. He gets to choose the weapon. You choose the location."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Make it someplace you want to die." and he looked at it. He goes, "He's already chosen small swords." Somebody else from the guard went, "That means you're dead already."
Yes.
and so he named a location, and then I said, "I'll need seconds." And like 40 people stood up and said, ooh, pick me. And I went, no, I'll take you, and I'll take you. I said, "You may pick your seconds. Have your seconds. Talk to my seconds." "What are seconds?" And the other guy goes, "Yep, he's dead. He's dead."
He's dead.
And this was up at near front gate, up by Bad Manor. He didn't get all the way to Seagate, which those of you who aren't familiar with the festival site, that's what, 4 blocks? Roughly, Scotty?
Yeah.
Okay. And he met the King's entourage again coming up the lane. And the news had already passed to the festival wall and was bouncing back.
Right.
Because Johnny looked at him, the King looked at him and said, "Oh, I hear you're dueling Morgan. My condolences to your family." And he walked on. Nobody had any sympathy for
nobody liked the guy, because to do what he did, first of all, as actors, Sarah, as an actor on the street out there, if you had a show, Terpsichore is the group that Dave mentioned. They were a period dance group, Tudor dance, and they would just put on the little
and they've got all these courtiers that have spent months learning these dances.
For him to come and barge into the act and then start a duel, well, the group supported Dave because of what he did. He broke into their show, and that your show has certain times on the calendar agenda of the day you have to be at certain areas or stages, and so he disrupted their show. That would be like
no chivalry or honor.
Yeah. A much different circumstance would be like going to see a Broadway play and then stepping up on stage because you wanted to dance with the. Well, I'm wearing the right costume.
Or Shakespeare in the Park. Ooh, I know this line. I'm just going to jump in there.
Yeah. Let me jump in. I know this.
Yeah, that would be like I heard a joke somewhere that there was a group that was doing a Diary of Anne Frank, but everyone was bombing. So when it came to the scenes when the Nazis were supposed to look at the house, so the audience was yelling, she's in the attic."
Oh, yeah.
Trying to get them to.
That's funny.
I mean, it's terrible.
Chad Sanders, thank you. He ordered some tumblers from us, some special ones. We made up some art for him. And the Marine Corps. And it shows the close-up of like a Superman ripping his shirt open, a Clark Kent,
Yeah.
the tie flopping, and the Superman symbol, except it's the Marine Corps symbol.
Oh, okay. That sounds really neat.
So we did up some tumblers for him on special order. Thank you, Chad. I will pass that on to Rainey. He says they're badass. Semper Fi, brother.
I'm sure you're going to have a lot more orders and stuff now that Christmas season and all that stuff.
Yeah, we hope so. We hope so. We gotta push it a little more. All this stuff, home businesses, anything. Writing a book and publishing it yourself, it's all fine and dandy until it comes to marketing. And so it's all about marketing. It's letting people know you're there and what you can do and so on and so forth. So lots of good businesses die on the vine. Lots of good books die on the vine because they gather dust on the shelf because nobody knows they're there.
You'll have to show off different tumblers when you get on it.
Yes. So
all the cool tumblers you got. So
thank you very much. I'm drinking from one. Well, I was earlier. I had my Spock tumbler. Drinking coffee out of him today.
I got a new brush today.
All right. I got a new. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. I got breath mints today. And
I've got a
Ouija board breath mints.
Yeah. I saw these.
You can't get rid of these Ouija boards, I'm telling you.
Just a day or two after the Ouija board incident, we were at Michael's craft store up here.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're nationwide, but
yeah.
And this was sitting nowhere. There was nothing else around in the exit line to go up to the cash register. It was the only one sitting there, like in a bunch of pencils and erasers and stuff.
I want to get some of those.
I went, oh, I need those because of what happened the other day.
Are they shaped like little?
No, like the mints themselves. Here, I'll show you. Oh, I had a kid jam this shut on me today. Jeez.
Cheering.
Can I have some of your mints, Father? Yes, you may. Don't shut the lid tight. Here you go. Here's the breath mint itself.
Oh, yeah. They're shaped like the little planchette.
It's even 3-dimensional. It's even got the little.
Okay, lay it on the top of the lid. Don't touch it, and let's see if it'll.
Yeah, I don't do that in this house, Dave.
Oh, come on!
It's just the cables from underneath.
And they're embossed anyway.
It's just a wafer thin mint. Can't hurt you.
Let me see. Should I talk to Dave Potter anymore tonight? Shall I?
You can't trust it. It's a mint.
Whoa! It ran it right off the board. Yeah, you can't trust those little tarty mints.
Just saucy mints.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Curiously possessed mints.
But I got those. Mystifying mints. All right. So much for that. I started reading this to my kids again last night because I hadn't read it to Flynn. Really liked it and wanted to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Ellery was really pushing me to read a book last night. I thought, when she pushes, I'll do it. Because sometimes I like, hey, let's read a book tonight. Like she's like, no, I want to watch TV when I go to sleep. And I'm like, I don't want you to watch
the worst thing that you could do right before bed because it keeps your brain stimulated.
Yep, that's what I say. I say you can watch TV as long as you watch a calming, Richard Attenborough talking about nature, or music, sleep music. But I started reading this last night.
Oh. Good classic.
And, so tonight about 11:30, Uncle Dave will be calling him. Oh, Scotty, could you read me this story?
Could you read me a story? I love if none of you know how this book opens up.
I know what you can do with your Thursday nights now.
Yeah, there it is. Thursday nights.
Thursday night's bedtime story by Scotty Roberts.
Bedtime stories. Here's how Treasure Island starts, if you've never heard the beginning. Part 1, The Old Buccaneer. Chapter 1, The Old Sea Dog. Oh, and we got Flynn laughing. Rainey had him laughing because I would use words that he's never heard before. This was written in, what, the 1880s?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it says words that sound too much like entendre. And so, the old sea dog at the Admiral Benbow. And he goes, and I go, what? Benbow. And I'm not sure why that made him laugh. Okay. Squire Trelawney, Dr. Livesey, and the rest of these gentlemen, having asked me to write down the whole particulars about Treasure Island from the beginning to the end, keeping nothing back but the bearings of the island, and that only because there is still treasure not yet lifted, I take up my pen in the year of grace 17, and it's blank, and go back to the time when my father kept the Admiral Benbow in. And I look at him, and Rainey starts laughing because he's laughing at Benbow. And the brown old seaman with the he starts laughing again. We're like, what? What are you laughing at? He's 13. Benbow, seaman. And Rainey said, what's so funny about the word seaman? It's a seaman. It's a man who went to sea. And he goes, and he keeps going. And so I repeat, and I go, the Admiral Benbow
think of it.
and the brown old seaman. And then Rainey pipes in.
It's gone brown.
Rainey pipes in, looks at me, and goes, that's what happens to seamen when they get old. They turn brown. And I went, don't even encourage him. And then Flynn just breaks out in utter laughter. And I'm like, what do you know? I haven't given you the talk yet. And the old brown seaman with the saber cut first took up his lodging under our roof. And that's how it starts. And it talks about the old
when a pirate and a mermaid love each other very, very much.
Yes. And they get very close. But and then there's the here. It goes on. It says, I remember him as if it were yesterday, as he came plodding to the inn door, his sea chest. And he laughed at that too. And I'm like, why are you laughing at that for? It's not even funny. His sea chest following behind him in a hand barrow, a tall, strong, heavy, nut brown man. He laughed at the word nut. Go figure.
You gotta enjoy
he's
the
not ready
simple
for the
pleasures
talk.
in life.
Yes. His tarry pigtail falling over the shoulders of his soiled blue coat, his hands ragged and scarred, with black broken nails and the saber cut across one cheek. I go, Flynn, cheek. Here, probably. Not here. And he laughs even more. You know what Flynn's like, Dave. Getting him to laugh.
Well, he's normally so stoic and quiet that.
So we're having fun. We're having amazing fun with him, Rainey and I. And Ellery had long fallen asleep. She fell asleep in the first 3 minutes.
Mhm.
So I said, I remember him looking around the cove and whistling to himself as he did so, and then breaking out in that old sea song that he sung so often afterward. 15 men on a dead man's chest, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. And Flynn goes, that's so old. I go, this is where it came from, buddy. Robert Stevenson wrote that.
When I wrote Morgan's logbook, started it, from this, I get in the year of our Lord, Wednesday at the 19th of the such and such of the year of our Lord. And then there's a what? ... Oh, bugger. On Thursday.
Nice.
But it's this big, long, flowery paragraph. And then it's like, what? Oh, bugger.
Yeah.
It starts all over.
Thursday.
You imagine trying to keep dates back then if you the way they wrote everything out. Oh my God.
On Thursday, the third Thursday of the month of May, On the 27th it was, particularly in the year of your Lord and mine, 1719. What? Scratch that. What is it?
Yeah.
Relay that.
How's your painting coming, Uncle Dave?
Which one?
The boat.
It's coming along. I
boat.
I laid the paint on rather thick the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and
It's taking long to dry.
yeah. So I need to do work on the. There it is. I need to
I
do
love
work
the
on the
woodwork.
Nice field guy.
on the ocean.
You saw that.
I'm still working on the North Sea, and the North Sea is
Here.
still too tacky for me to play with.
Here, let's see. Let me blow you up a little bit. Let me blow you up. Cannon fire! Fire in the hole.
Yeah, I love the woodwork on that. The shape.
Yeah,
The
I've
woodwork
laid
looks really
in
nice.
the shadow of the Viking. I don't know. There's his shield and his helmet and such, casting the
What
shadow
kind of
out in
helmet
front of
is
him.
it? What kind of helmet is he wearing?
Conical,
Okay.
conical, the proper
Good.
one, obviously.
Good.
And all that's dry. I can paint over that, but I can't paint. This is still tacky,
Right.
and it. The downside of working with oils is sometimes
That's what I don't like about working with oils, to tell you the truth.
you lay in a layer and then it's 3 or 4 days or sometimes more before you can. If I had painted
Oh
it
my goodness!
in
Look who's calling
thinner
in.
cuts, I would have been able to work on it today. But
Here. Oh, sorry, Sarah. I'm hitting the wrong buttons.
Yeah.
Delaney Pearl Jones.
You
Hey
guys
there.
were speaking of paintings.
I need some jazz music going or something.
Let me show you what I'm working on.
Let's see it. Oh, I saw a picture of this.
This is one of my
Wow.
crystal creations. I'm using crystals.
awesome.
That's incredible. I saw the photograph of that.
It glows in the
next thing
dark
that
too.
The next thing that I'm going to get into, I don't know if you've seen where they do like plaster relief with
Hold that up
the
again, Delaney.
little trawls.
Okay.
Yeah, Dave. I just was gonna blow that up a
yeah.
little bit.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know, Delaney, if you've
Wow.
seen where they do like plaster relief using the little trawls.
Yes, I love those.
Yes.
I want to start doing that. So I'm going to grab some boards and start practicing doing that, because I think when we do murals, there's some things that we could do to add a third dimension and really bump them to the next level
Yeah.
and charge a lot
I do
more.
too.
Sophisticated
too.
stuff.
I've seen
But yeah.
cakes like that. You know that but instead of crystals, they use like rock candy. They just take like a chunk out of a cake and then line it, make it look like a geode on the inside using rock candy.
Yeah.
This is one of the portraits I'm working on.
Nice. Very
So-
nice.
It's daughter of a friend of
Daughter
ours.
of our friend, a friend of ours.
Years ago. She's now a professional artist. And this was back when she was 12. And I love the pose because it reminds me of Vermeer and Vermeer. And so I said, hey, I want to do that one for them. So that'll be a Christmas gift. So I don't show those. I'm not publishing those on my page. And then yesterday during the 4 o'clock show, I started a Rembrandt.
Oh.
It's
That's
just
not
the
a Rembrandt. That's a Potter.
Yeah, it will be a Potter. It's just the first
That's you.
layer. It's just
Yeah.
it is me, and that's just the first layer. So the fact that
Very cool.
yeah. So it's
Well,
the thing about working in oils is, like I said, so I've got to wait days for this Viking painting to do anything with it, and I
started a new piece of artwork on my napkin. I call it affectionately non-hanging Chad.
Excellent. So
There you
by
go.
doing that, I've just gotten into where while I'm waiting for something else to paint, I start something new.
I mean, you
Which I
mentioned.
have decided is how these artists.
Yeah.
That's why these artists have so damn many. When you look at like, you used to go into they show you going into like one of the great artists' studios, and there'd be just hundreds of paintings all sitting around.
Yeah.
Because I've worked on that one. I can't work on that anymore this week, so I start another one, and if you're prolific and you're working a lot in one day, you put in a lot of hours, you might start 20 paintings and then have to wait 4 or 5 days on them. So the next day, they didn't have TV and radio to keep their time up, so that's all they did was paint.
It's like
Right,
eating
because
potato chips.
between each layer, you gotta let the stuff set.
Yeah.
Here.
Sometimes 3 or 4 days. It's very
I got to show
frustrating.
off some artwork
Yeah.
too. I'm feeling left out from all you artists. Oh no, this was a few years ago. We were all working in clay with the kids, just having fun at the table.
I love that.
So that's my incense burner on my desk.
Nice.
So
Reminds me of one of those gargoyle reliefs or something that you see. On
we got a big block of clay, and I said, let's all sit. It was 3-4 winters ago. 3 winters ago.
Do we have any finished pictures of the soda shop?
Yeah, my website, but it's
Okay.
no, they're not the finished pictures. I think it got so cold and wet at the end
We just painted and got out of there. Yeah, because I can't find finished ones either. So I thought, and I was taking a lot.
Go to my website, click on murals, and scroll down. You'll find
I'm gonna upload to my Instagram a bunch of the mural work.
All right.
Because
Cool.
people have been asking. So as long as they're asking, there's potential there for work. So
cool.
So I'm guessing that your background mural is going to be put off then because it'll be too cold.
No.
Too cold in the
I
winter.
haven't done anything with it yet.
Yeah.
It's all indoors. We can paint it year round.
I mean, would the cold affect the rate of it?
Oh no, it shouldn't.
No.
It shouldn't down here.
It's supposed to be wet.
This other building was outside in November in a sleeting snowstorm, and we were still painting.
Yeah, we were outside. That ran into the first week of December, and we thought we're not going to get this done. But yeah, that was miserable work. It was 108 feet of really rugged, deep cut cinder block brick that we were painting, and so the grooves were like it was like ugh, and it was horrible shit to paint.
It was awful to paint on. We ruined a ton of brushes.
Sprayer did just about do everything because a brush it would just tear apart our brushes. We were using the house paint brushes, bigger ones to do big features in the chest. Horrible.
It was awful.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about Christmas earlier. I'm like, if you're just starting on Christmas stuff now, I mean, it's right around the corner.
Yeah, I'll have that done.
Yeah,
I'm so bad at getting that done ahead of time. So,
I've got things I'm doing for Scott and Rainey. They won't be done at Christmas time, but
yeah, that figures. Well, you're not invited, so
yeah.
It's a joke. Hey, if you're around, we're gonna do some kind of Thanksgiving here. We're going to our mom's on Thanksgiving Day, but we're going to do something here. We always invite some friends over and do a different day.
I know on Thanksgiving itself, me and the folks here. So we're just going to do a small ham and I don't do stuffing anymore. And I make such great stuffing. So maybe I'll make stuffing to bring to your house.
Stuff a ham.
Huh?
How do you stuff a ham? Well, you scoop out the inside.
Take the bone out and then use that cavity. No. I'm just gonna do a small carving ham and dressing on the side, but I probably won't make any dressing this year.
Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. All right. I used to think it was sacrilege to have anything but turkey on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan.
Just 3 people, and
yeah, I suppose.
And the parents eat like 2-year-olds. They eat such a tiny bit, and no matter what I put on the plate, my mom wants half of it. I just want half.
Yeah.
If I give her a half portion to start with, she just wants half of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, psychological. So.
Oh, that's way too much. Half.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Let's see. Chad Sanders said, Scotty, we had a lady do one in our Legion. I'll send you pictures and video. Wow, amazing outcome. She doesn't do it full time. It's a shame. She did such an amazing job. Well, that's half of the problem.
Can we just
really good artists? They just don't.
She does
don't get the full time work out of it. So
she does what?
Murals.
Oh, murals.
Yeah.
Well, did one in the Legion. I was like, well, I bet you the boys were happy that night.
Wait, she does what for a living?
So
it's not a real job. It's her side job,
but she's good at it. Okay.
We were talking about that tonight with Travis Thorpe. I think many of you are familiar with Travis Thorpe.
Brother Thorpe. How is he?
He's doing really well. They just bought a really nice house.
Yeah, beautiful
Which
house.
is nice. He said, I sometimes walk around here and wonder, and still am stunned. So they've got a really nice place. And he's former military, and he's military police, tough guy. At the same time, he's a pagan priest.
Nice.
And I mean, you're talking the real McCoy there.
Yeah.
The stuff he does. It's not your fake acorn shaker of the week, being a priest, calling himself a priest. So, but pretty powerful man, and younger than I am by many years. I think.
Oh yeah.
Travis is he even 40 yet?
I do not believe he's 40 yet.
So, but
Not his first time on the planet, though.
We were all talking, and oh, I can't say what I was going to say. I'm thinking of it, and I'm thinking it's funny. I'm thinking, no, it's really dirty. So I can't really talk about it. Rainey and he and I were sitting there talking. Thorpe. Yeah, it's Thorpe. And because I told him the story because he hadn't heard it before, just because it was in context of what we were talking about. I told you all the story of when Rainey gave me the massage and was topless. The first time she ever gave me a massage. We weren't even dating yet. And so I told Travis that story. And he just growled and laughed. And he says, "Oh, Rainey, my back." He said, "I could really use a massage." And she's talking about something about her shoulder is giving her problems. He goes, and he said something about it being, "I only need the one hand anyway." And so he's going on, and Rainey laughs. She loves Travis. And so so we were all joking around about that. But there was more to it. It was just naughty joking, the way adults do sometimes. And I was thinking of that, and I thought, this make a fun. No, I better not talk about that. So,
just package up and ship him a pineapple.
Yeah. Make sure it's delivered upside down.
Yeah. Yep.
So, you know what that means, right?
Funny.
Sarah?
Sarah? Hello?
No, I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Muted. So I had to get up for a second.
Travis is an awesome guy, Chad. She's an old Amish lady, Uncle Dave. LOL. I don't know what he's talking about there.
I wonder how Grumpy is doing with his, push-up challenge or whatever he was doing.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a couple of days. Well, no, I saw him.
Coffee with him this morning briefly on KB's, but I didn't ask him about that.
I couldn't do KB's this morning. I had to go take kids to the dentist.
KB said hello back to you.
Oh,
he was bummed that you weren't there this morning.
Yeah, I should have been there. We had to leave here at 8:00 to go to the eyeglass place. All of my kids one day. We said, let's just do it all in one shot, and then mine. And so we did everybody's eye appointments today. So
that's how you do it.
Yeah. Rainey is Alita's hell. Alito's hell. Alita's. Who's Alita? Who are you talking about there?
Alita is
it a mythological thing I'm missing?
No, she's an anime character. Well, but not anime. It's a 3D
ninja,
film,
right? Or superhero type thing.
Yeah, she's got a human brain and such inside of basically a robot
brain and
body.
Heart.
Yeah, and heart.
Human heart.
Yeah, inside a robot body.
Like a cyborg.
She's kick-ass.
Alita. Let's see. I'm looking her up.
It's a great movie, man.
She kind of looks like this. Alita Ocean?
No, Alita. The warrior something.
What's it say? It's
a.
No, that's not her.
Robot. She's like a robot droid.
Droid.
A dystopian sort of universe. And there are humans and there are these
totally different pictures on that one.
Yeah.
With that criteria. So.
Well, speaking of superheroes, which I'm sure you guys already heard, Kevin Conroy died. So,
Who?
Yeah.
See, that's
the
what I
voice
said
of
originally.
Batman.
Who? Because I didn't know who he was.
Oh yeah. The voice of Batman from that was a bummer.
In the 90s.
He's probably the
still
best
bummed about it.
Batman out there.
Yeah, he's the quintessential voice of Batman, for at least for me. But,
Oh,
yeah.
that sucks.
And I wasn't familiar with him by name.
I wasn't either. Well, vaguely I was. I listened to a podcast by
Tim Daly.
the girl that did Kim Possible.
Christy Carlson Romano.
Yes, and her partner, not her husband, but acting partner from that show, have a podcast called I Hear Voices, and they bring voice artists on and interview them and stuff. And he also has done Batman and stuff, and so they had him on as a guest, and they did like a 2-hour show. It was great. But that was my first exposure to who he actually was.
Right.
I'd heard his voice so many times, but I didn't realize who the actor was.
Yeah, he was only 66. He died of
Yeah,
cancer.
real young. I didn't hear how he died.
Yeah, it's cancer. So.
Oh, what a bummer.
Yeah. So I mean, it just
That
feel
real
like
funny guy, Leslie Jordan, died too.
yeah, I remember Leslie Jordan.
He
The
is
poor guy.
Funny little dude.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Daniel Radcliffe posted a memoriam video today of all the people from the Hogwarts series that have passed away, and it's a lot of them. A lot of them. I was surprised at how, and some of them are young actors.
Yeah. The guy who plays Hagrid, he died.
Yeah,
Hagrid
just recently.
died.
Yeah.
And of course, Alan Rickman years ago.
Yep, the woman that played Malfoy's mom, and yeah, a whole bunch of them. I was just really surprised.
But when they probably, which would have been what they died from?
Yeah,
most of it was
Bad
cancer.
magic, because almost all of them were supporters of He Who Shall Not Be Named.
It's the Hogwarts.
That always comes back to bite you in the ass.
They said it. Yeah.
What was the thing about all the guys who had ever played Jesus in the old movies or whatever all died? Now, James Caviezel,
Caviezel, yeah.
Caviezel
or something.
Caviezel. He's still alive.
Yeah. I don't know about that curse, but there is a Superman curse out there.
Yeah.
Superman curse. I haven't heard that one.
Oh yeah, all the actors that played Superman had tragic things happen. So Reeves, of course, the first Reeves,
George.
The first Reeves was shot himself. Committed suicide, and then Christopher Reeves had a horse accident. And
what happened to the kid who played the young guy who played Superman that one time in the movie where Marlon Brando did the voiceover for the father, hailing back to
that was probably the original, like Superman 3 or something.
No, there was another Superman, and it was done. He was supposed to be the next Superman, and he looked so much like Christopher Reeve. But he was younger, and they did.
Tom Welling. Was this in Smallville?
No, it was
prequel. The whole
was it before Smallville even?
Well, and the kid
they
that
had
played
him in the same
he's
kind
still
of
okay. And Dean Cain,
Reeve wore.
Dean Cain from Lois and Clark, he's still alive.
Yeah. Tim Daly's alive. So.
And of course, Henry Cavill is still alive.
Yeah.
So that curse is there's nothing to it. Only 2 of them died.
So I'd still be.
I mean, they all die eventually. I mean,
eventually.
About it, everybody
Come
on
and see
I
me
Love
in 30
Lucy is
years.
dead. So I mean, people of I Love Lucy, but it's like everybody.
What was it called? It wasn't Man of Steel. It was the Superman they had between Henry Cavill and might have been Chris Reeves.
Is it Brian Ruth?
I don't know. I've never seen him in anything since that. Now I got to know.
Ooh, this Superman.
After.
That's depressing.
I gotta go, guys. I'm covered in resin. I just put this layer down. Look at.
All right.
So check
it
out.
Later.
Beautiful work,
show you this real fast.
Show us.
got Larvakite, White Howlite, Apache Tears, a Black Obsidian,
It's just
Green
gorgeous.
Aventurine, Peridot, Jade, Clear Quartz.
Are you
Yeah.
gonna
Very
charge
nice
your
and
crystals on there?
sparkly.
Say that again?
Are you gonna charge your crystals on there?
So I
Yeah.
was wondering.
The sun, I put them in the sun every day as I go.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I keep it going for
Yeah.
sure. And then I play the crystals, the charging crystal frequencies. God, this looks great. I'm looking at my big TV. It looks really good.
Yeah, it does look great.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Right on.
The camera does no justice.
I'm
know.
sure.
I know.
It's beautiful. I can't wait for it to be finished. I gotta charge a lot though. I gotta charge like 120 plus shipping.
That's how I feel about this Viking.
It's 14 by 8. Yeah, 14 by 10. It's big. And then I have small canvases, the black ones I'm gonna be using.
Mhm.
I'm gonna
Cool.
make 2 more. I got 2 more to do.
Right on.
But yeah, so for sale, crystals, Crystal Creations by D Black Pearly Gate.
Right
Y'all have a
on.
good one. Thank you. Bye.
See you, Delaney.
Beautiful.
Nice to meet you.
Right. Oops. I've only got me up. Why is that? Why is that?
I don't know.
so?
That's not right. That's no.
Why
There
did
you go.
it
There you
go
go.
just to me? That was weird. Okay. Superman after Chris Reeve. Let's see. Okay. He was that guy. No, it wasn't just after Chris Reeve. There were 3 in
I think it's
between.
Brian Ruth.
There was one right after Chris Reeve. Then there was Dean Cain.
Mhm.
Then there was
Let us not forget Nicolas Cage was
Smallville
supposed to play
guy.
Superman as well.
They
but
were
he
thinking of
just
him
got
once.
to the audition. They didn't. That was
He
where-
went all the way up to costume fitting. They had designed and built costumes for him.
That just seemed weird to me, though.
Yeah,
Cage
long-haired
fan.
Fit.
Superman.
Yeah.
But it's all based on there was a series of comic book that
Brandon Ruth.
where
Yeah.
he had long hair and stuff, and they were going to go off of that. And
He ended up being
Yeah.
Ghost Rider. So.
yep, he ended up doing the Ghost Rider thing instead.
Mhm. You're supposed to be bringing back Keanu Reeves for another Constantine movie too. I just saw that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that'll be good.
It's the one character he said that in an interview recently, they said if he could come back and do any character again, he's like, I've always wanted to revisit Constantine. And so,
Mhm. Yeah. He also said he wanted to do Ghost Rider in the MCU, the MCU now and stuff. So I don't think he'll get that one though.
I never
They
watched Ghost
recently
Rider.
tapped
I
Harrison
think.
Ford for the MCU, which
to play what?
I think it was a Abomination or something like that. It was some sort of I think it was Hulk related or something. So,
Sure, Chad. I'll put her page up here. You can go to Two Loons. Oh, you're talking about I thought because you were talking about Tumblrs earlier. Delaney's page or Rainey's? Delaney, put your page up where people can see
Put a
it.
link.
you just need to do a show where you just have all your artist friends just come on and show stuff and
Yeah.
put your links up. Just do like a Christmas party type thing. So have everybody show off and before Christmas and show their work, and we can all go ooh with links and stuff. So, but it's like as I'm getting older, it feels like my whole childhood is like slowly dying because everybody that I know is like gone,
Yes.
going, gone,
Yeah.
and all that. But it was like a couple weeks ago. I didn't realize, Peter Cullen, he voices Optimus Prime. He's the same voice who voices Eeyore. So depressed
really?
Optimus Prime is Eeyore, and it didn't like click in my head until I was like, oh yeah, that's right. If
Nice.
I hear the thing, so it's like you don't make the connection, because it's
Right.
completely different things. It's like,
Oh, bother.
It's gonna rain.
The Decepticons have come again.
Like he's on half charge or something.
We might be charged up. They're stronger. Let's see. Chad Sanders, that didn't help. Yes, hers. Hers whose? Delaney's or Rainey's?
Yes, hers.
Yes, hers. Delaney's or Rainey? Yes. I don't know Delaney's. Delaney, if you're still here, throw your link up. Yeah,
She might be gone because she was talking about going.
Yeah,
Well,
she
look
has
what time it
resin
is.
all over her hands, so I think she went to go wash it.
It is
Also.
11:10. So I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to let you guys get out of here too.
All right.
So,
Good to see you guys. I'll see you on Friday.
all right, Sarah, thanks for being here, as always. Uncle Dave?
Yep.
You
Yep.
get
I
back at
will chat with you later.
All right.
Give everyone
I'm
a
gonna
hug
get out
for
of
me.
here and do my thing, my sleeping
right.
thing. All right. Have a good night. All right, folks. That's it. That's all we got. So we're going to get out of here now. And I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you giving me your time to come in here. So until next time, live long and prosper. I'm still here.